Legends. We've got one more presentation before our lunch break. If you've been to this symposium before, you would have seen this next speaker. I'm very excited to welcome back to the stage Heimo Schober, the Chief Executive Officer of Keep Australia Beautiful NT. And Heimo, how long have you been at Keep Australia Beautiful for now? 10 years now? It says 2007 on here. Lost a couple of years along the way. Happens.
Really?
Maybe, yeah. 2000. Is that true, or is that?
Oh, I can't recall. It's been a while, but I've got no plans of moving on. That's for sure. If that's what you want to know.
Well, there you go. Should we have a round of applause for Heimo?
All right. Can you hear me? Yeah. First off, I just want to apologise to the people on the back. I think my PowerPoint presentation might have small font. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which we're gathered here today, the Larrakia people. And I just want to thank Legant and Meredith for the opportunity of talking about rubbish to you. Keep Australia Beautiful, we're a non-profit community-based organisation. I'm funded to provide you guys a free service. So in this relationship, like I say, you're my customer. When you say jump, I go, how high? Our sponsor department is the Environment Department, the Northern Territory Government Environment Department. So thank you to them. They're only in the back. Thank you. So I've been asked to talk about litter. It's our core business and how we might measure it in the Northern Territory. There's two ways that we do it. First off, I personally believe if you've got litter under control in your communities, and it's not so much litter, but the act of littering, because it's a behavioural act, practice, culture. Once you've got that under control, I personally believe you can move on from there. Then you can start looking at resource recovery, separation of waste, beautification, water waste conservation, and all that sort of thing. So we'll just talk about litter, and I'm mindful and how we measure it, and I'm mindful that we got dinner there or lunch there soon. The reasons we measure litter is predominantly to monitor trends, to see how effective our actions are as a council, what we've implemented, help guide policies and plans. What do we need to focus on? What areas? How can we do it? Care for amenities, tourism, community. You know, a beautiful place, a beautiful community is a happy community. And that one's pretty important because in your remote areas, you want staff retention. And you've got to remember, and I keep saying it, particularly in the remote areas of Northern Territory, we're only going to pass this road once. You only get one life. And if you're going to live in Umbacumba or Santa Teresa or wherever it is, let's make it a quality life. And you guys are the change agent. You're the leaders. You are the ones that can lead a change in quality of life in your communities. So increasing community amenities is pretty important. Care for country, the land, the sea, the sky, the animals. Sustainability practice, community culture, this is what we need. You're the leaders, you're seen as leaders, yourselves in the schools. And for us, we just need to identify what areas or what communities we need to work with to get them to raise their standards or benchmark. So in the Northern Territory, there's basically two types of index measures that we use. One is called the LRI, the Litter Rating Index, and the other one is called the LGLI. That's the Local Government Litter Index, which was known as the National Litter Index. So in our communities, up to about 5,000 residents, all our remote communities, it's a visual, it's an indication, no cost. So when a government official lands in your community and he walks around and he sees all the rubbish, he's already pigeonholed your community. And he's gone, all right, it's here compared to that community, which is here, compared to that community, which is up here. And that's what this is. So it's virtually a visual, no cost, subjective, but it's pretty good for our organisation, and that's what it was designed for, so that we can identify continuous improvement. So as long as the people of the communities are getting better and better, and also where we need to focus on, which communities. And we normally focus on those that are below a litter rating index of 50. Now, the major hubs, the metropolitan areas, Darwin, Palmerston, Katherine, Alice Springs, we use the local government litter index, and that's a measured one. That's got research, labour in there, McGregor-Tan research, that comes at a cost. So that's an annual report cost, but again, it's geared and designed to what your needs are as a council to help you with policies that you're putting out to thousands of people in your council region. So they're the two. So let's talk about the litter rating index. This is the small communities under 5,000. It's basically just a ground litter intensity visual. That's it. Straightforward. We use it as a third party to demonstrate to our sponsor department, the Environment Department, on an annual basis, how you guys are performing. And we're looking for continuous improvements. It basically we have a methodology that's on our website, and we'll talk a little bit later on, but it's basically from 0 to 100 rating. So 0 is houses on a rubbish dump, and 100 is squeaky clean. Excellent, beautification, recycling, the whole lot. So they're the two indexes that we use from 0 to 100. And then we break it into quarters. So your remote community, is it poor? And if it's poor, how poor? Very poor? Is it good or very good? So that's how we break it up from 0 to 100. We also link this in, the litter rating index, into our Sustainable Community Tidy Towns program. So when we do the judging, there's a value point, litter rating index value attached to it. If you're 100, that gets added to your point system. All right, so there's the incentive there. This is the methodology, and I just took a little sample of it. So this is from 0 to 25. So your criteria might be, so it's considered very poor, uncontrolled littering, and some examples might be there's no litter reduction policies, no strategies, no plans, no education. There's no usage of plans, no signage, no advertising, no stickers, no posters, no bins, so forth. All right. And the methodology has it all outlined for each section, 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. And that's what it looks like. So 0 to 25, 25 to 50, they're in the red. That's what we as an organisation, we focus on these communities that come back with a litter index between 0 to 50. When you're in 50 to 100, great, we monitor you and we hope that your graph keeps going up every year. The future for this one is an app. We haven't got the funding for it. Is Peter Brisbane here? Hey, Peter. Just thought I'd point that out. Peter, look at that. But an app would be fantastic because then we could download it. It'd do all the numbers and the graphs and everything. So that's the litter rating index. Now we'll talk about our major hubs. And they're the metropolitan areas that are over 5,000. We have the local government litter index. It's measured research. There's a bit of labour cost in there, and it's a change or an update from the National Litter Index to government. So what we used to have before was my organisation used to pay for the National Litter Index or the count across the Northern Territory. And as our funding was reduced, the department took it over. And then in the last 2 years, year and a half, there's been some issues about methodology, and we've had to rethink it. I can't go 2 years without this data. So now we're asking local governments to have a look at it. So what the proposal is for the local government litter index, which was the national litter index, is that it feeds still into the national litter index, but you as government, particularly Darwin, Palmerston, Katherine, Alice Springs, Litchfield, maybe Kamali, Nhulunbuy, that you obtain the data in partnership with us so that we can start working on what the Northern Territory's litter counts are, or index. It gives us the opportunity to compare it where Northern Territory is travelling against the rest of Australia. So We used to do the National Litter Index. We started it at 2005. We're still doing it, but we're hoping that the government, local governments around Australia can feed their information into the national one. We're looking for about 900 sites twice per year. We were doing that before. And we've redesigned it a bit and we've put new features in there for your councils. And the old National Litter Index, we wouldn't tell you where we were testing or counting. Now we will. The idea is if we're looking at a car park and it's high count of litter, you will tell us your hotspots and we can go there and count. So that's the change predominantly, more so than anything else. And we're looking to you guys to seriously think about changing or adding this into your budgets. The objectives of the whole litter index for the local governments is to help with the strategies and policies. And again, we assist. We provide you guys a service for nothing. That's what we do here. So we'll sit down and work with you. We work with the communities. That's what we represent. Can analyze your infrastructure placements, bins, signage. Is it optimally placed? Can we make it better? Develop the sites, budgets, measure impact of the education campaigns. How effective are they? Is the litter reducing? If it's not, then we need to change it, the education approach. We can talk to local businesses. Again, my brand, I'm no threat to anybody. For me to talk to a business and say, guys, there's a lot of rubbish that you're throwing in the bin or in the landfill or on the ground, I'm no threat, as opposed to a government or a council going into a local business. So use me, that's what I'm there for. We educate, we can assist that, both with the residents and the schools. And we're looking to create long-term behavioural change. And that's what I was saying. If you can change that behaviour issue, that's a big positive because you've really laid down a solid concrete foundation to build on top of that. So what we're talking about is 16 selected sites where we sit down and say, as a regional council, Darwin, Palmerston, whatever, Alice Springs, let's have a look at the 16 sites. We do it twice a year. We'll do it in May and November. We need to beat the rains. The last couple of years when we've had the counts, I've been sitting in my office in November and the count is going to happen tomorrow for a week. It takes about a week to do the counts. They square off 1,000 square meters and do the counts. And the rains came through and I was watching everything just wash down the stormwater drain. And I was thinking, oh, well, looks like Darwin's going to get a good result this year. We do it twice a year, November and May. We use McGregor-Tan research. So they're internationally accredited. They're globally accredited. So we'll stick with McGregor-Tan. We've been using them for 15 years. We don't have a problem with their methodology. So let's stay with them. We'll put the litter counts into a dashboard format for you and tables. Comes out as tables and graphs. There's also a written annual report for you guys for the councillors to look at. We do a walkthrough session where once we get the report, we'll sit down with your council, discuss it, analyse it. And we've got the opportunity to benchmark to see where your council is against other councils in the Northern Territory if you want to do that, and also where you are against other states if you want to do that. So this is what we're doing at the moment. We do beaches, one beach or waterway, highway, main road, 2 small streets. So it's about 16 sites, a audit or survey, and we do that twice a year. So it's 32 sites. Effectively, we need about a 3-year commitment if we're going to get a trend. If we're looking for a trend. So we need a start, a middle, and an end at least. So we need a 3-year commitment to get a bit of a trend as to what's going on. So the benefits of the litter index is that you'll be able to select your own sites, your hotspots. We'll be able to count them, have a look, and then put some action in place, and then revisit it 6 months later for the next count and carry on like that. The data ownership, you own the data, but we'd be hoping that you allow us to share that data because we want to use it on a national scale and compare our local governments against the other local governments. The litter collection, it's counted, it's collected, it's disposed of. So effectively, you've got 32 cleanups happening in your council. All right. So if you do the litter survey, those that are counting, pick up the rubbish, put it in a bag and take it away. Illegal dumping, there'll be notes on that as well. And again, like I say, illegal dumping, it'll be noted. If it's itinerants, we've got no problems going to the itinerants and saying, here's 2 bags, can you put your rubbish in the black bag and recycles in the green bag and that sort of thing. So again, my brand is no threat. We can support you in that way. Site infrastructure, while we do the count on litter, we can also put on there how many bins, how many signs, graffiti. If you want to add in how many rose gardens there are or whatever, we can do that as well, okay? And like I say, we do it twice a year, May and November. So I'd like to stick with that if we can, but we're open to negotiation on that if you want to. Waterways, we count the rubbish that's beside the waterways, not in or under it. Sharks and crocodiles, I'm not impressed. We can do product stewardship, brand recognition too. We've done that before. That might help you a bit. So we can record what if we can identify what brands. Anything under 1 centimetre, 1 less square centimetre, we won't touch. We'll leave that alone. Microplastics, that's a whole different ball game again. And like I said, not in or under the water. And we're hoping that we can use the data from you guys that you guys are paying for. So these are the sheets that they come in, all the data. So the people, when they go out, they do the counts. And you can see it comes in a table format. So we've got glass, metal. So it's alcoholic sodas, spirit-based mixers, beers, 75 ml, beers under 75 ml, ciders, fruit-based, all that. So you've got all the glass. We've even got here which ones are under the container deposit legislation, so we can monitor container deposit legislation. And then we've got beach, car park, highway, so forth. And then it goes right out to the end, which is a total. So with your councils, we can say, well, the beaches have got a real problem with glass at the moment, and it's a lot of beer glass. So we better start knocking on the beer company's door or whatever it is and go that way. And that's what I do. It's not council, not government, me, because I'm no threat. I don't want to offend anybody. I want to work with people. So this is one of the tables that they'll be using. So you can click on whatever you want. So this is South Australia's table. They do counts 4 times a year. The rest of Australia does 2 counts a year. But if you want to know what the cigarette butts are doing, you click on cigarette butts and all the greens will come up. If you want to click on glass, all the red will come up. So you get a bit of idea what your trend is over the years. So these are sort of tools that will be included in there that you can use. What happens is when you've received your annual report, I'll take it and I'll start putting it into a PowerPoint presentation so I can speak to the general public. So it might be the rangers, it might be schools, it might be residents, businesses, shopping centres, Department of Roads. So I normally speak to them and present to them the data. And this is just some data that we have that I pulled out of the system. So there's a trend. Australia's rubbish litter, and it's going down. Hooray, good stuff. There's Northern Territories, boo. But you wouldn't be able to pick that up unless you took the counts, all right? I mean, if you want to manage something, you've got to monitor it. If you want to manage your finances, you've got to monitor your spend. If you want to manage your health, you've got to monitor your weight. Same with litter. We've got to monitor it. So then we started, we could do things like population growth versus litter count. So the blue is population growth in the Northern Territory, and the ochre is the litter count. I think after 2015, we gave up. It was a bit embarrassing. For what it's worth, when we compare ourselves against the rest of the country, it's sad. Northern Territory is very sad. So, we do these sort of things. Who are the main offenders? Well, here in 2017-18, it was retails, shopping centres, and car parks. So that's the area of focus. We picked the top 3 first. It gives you data like that. And this is how I can talk to the shopping centres or the businesses or what have you. Splits, This one here is papers in residential, predominantly flyers. So we speak to the people that distribute the flyers in the letterbox. And we say, don't put so much in if people aren't reading them. What else have we got here? Beach. That's our beaches in the Northern Territory. We can do graphs like this where we can take 4 years worth of data and we can take whatever we want, present it any way we want. Whatever you think is more effective, we can do it. So this one here is takeaway containers, cups, cutlery. So it's all going up. This one here is the plastic bags, just monitoring the plastic bags performance. So the thin, lightweight bags are going down and the thick, heavy are going up. So there's your trend. This one here is containers, deposits. So we've come out of our honeymoon, it was a big U, and now we're settling down and we've just got a slight increase. So that's just slightly increasing over the years now, the litter from containers, beverage containers. So the local government litter index, it's the national litter index that's been rehashed for local government to consider. I'll be contacting our larger local governments like Darwin, Palmerston, Catherine, Alice Springs to talk to you about it, to see if there's a bit of a buy-in. Like I said, 32 sites a year. The cost will be somewhere around about 10 to 15,000. Depends if there's a new site, we'll have to scope it. We'll have to figure out how, where, all that sort of stuff. But we're hoping we can collect the data of about 90 sites twice a year, 180 sites for Northern Territory, and we can add that into the national to get a bit of a trend going in comparison. And yeah, that's my contact details if you want to ask any or talk about anything. Any questions? Not good. Okay, thank you guys.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Cheers, everybody. That was the second part of the symposium. And now we're going to have our lunch break. A reminder, if you haven't already picked up your bags from over here, the wonderful conference bags are just available at the front. Lunch break's happening until 1:45 in the restaurant just across the corridor over here. So please, if you want to make your way over there and sit with some people you might not have met and do a bit of networking, we're back in here at 1:45. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.